Hi guys, we are here for the last part of this tutorial about creating a beauty health commercial. I'm going to take you about the process of creating your own style, your own lot for a video like this, and yeah, it's going to be a very organic process because I don't approach a grade like everything with the same method, I'm changing depending on the project, depending on the field, what the client wants, the freedom they give me. So let's start with this. I knew that I would go for a soft look because I had a lot of references about it, and they love the concept, and all my my art direction decisions were towards that, because you have to be careful, and you have to create your concept and your color palette before you start. That's the beginning of a grade, actually. It doesn't make sense to put everything in the screen with a lot of colors, and then in the end, in the grade, try to get rid of those colors and create a palette, because you should do that from the beginning, from the decisions you take, the things you put on screen, the art direction, the props, the wardrobe, even the makeup. Everything has to be aligned to have a certain look, So for this, as you read in the PDF, we wanted a very creamy, soft looks. That's why we used those devices on the lenses, and we wanted to have a color contrast between the greens and blues against the warm tones of the skin. So we shot in Vlog, as you read. So the first thing we're going to use here, Color Finale here, but you can use whatever color app you have, because we're going to be using the most common tools. I'm not very software driven, I like to change and to choose the best that I have for each specific project. So in this time I used Final Cut with Color Finale Pro, and yeah, the first step would be to try to get back all the contrast that you have from a log file. I know that many people use LUTs, technical LUTs from Panasonic, for example, in this case, or Alexa. Some of them work super nice, but I feel that for the Panasonic GH5, I prefer to do it by myself, since that way I have more control over the image, because the results that I get from the Panasonic one, it's not always like as good as I like. So I prefer to start with a layer with curves, and I want to see the scopes here, so I know. So you see that here we have a log file, so it's only taking from 20, 25 to 80 more or less. So I chose this shot as an example because you have skin tones, you have some nicely blown out whites here, you have skins on the dark side, so you have a very cool shot to start. So let's start with the getting back some of our blacks and making the curve realistic, taking back all the contrast, because this way you're going to see that maybe I don't want to crush the blacks, because I know that I'm going for a look which doesn't have to be like this, like everybody will tell you that you should have the blacks at 0 from a technical point of view, but for me it feels like for this commercial I should leave some space down so it's soft and creamy. Here you see the space. Then we're going to tweak this to taste, but I think this is a pretty good starting point, because what happens with this kind of low budget cameras and projects is that if you go with the skins too low, you start seeing artifacts, on the skin. This time we want more softness, so we'll go like this. That's a good beginning. So the second thing for me to do to this image is to get rid of some of the reds that the image has. Not a lot, because I don't want the skin to feel like unhealthy, but a bit of the magentas that we have here, only a bit, so I have a more neutral image. This magenta thing is due to because we were shooting in 8-bit, so it has some color degradation, towards magenta. I have experienced that with the GH5, so it's only a bit touch. Okay, and to tell you the truth, we're almost there, because we have this creamy look that I wanted, because everything was done in camera, so it's super helpful to have everything clear from the beginning with your lighting, everything, everything that you put onto screen. But let's go with a second layer. What I like to do is to create, because I like to play, and feel free to play on your grades when you have time. It's different when you are with a client on your back telling you what to do with a tight deadline. But usually for this kind of projects, you will be like more free when doing and taking decisions, and you can show the client even some options, but don't be scared of playing, with your color. So for this, I want to emphasize, because what happens with these blues and greens is that they're a bit off, like desaturated. So what happens is, if I add a bit of saturation, a bit of health in her skin, only a bit, but I want to do one thing that I love. It's like using layers and changing opacities for that. For example, you're going to see that I want to take my shadows towards a blue tone, like green blue tone. Don't worry, this is going to be fixed. And skin tones towards orange. But then I will lower the opacity, to add only a bit of this, as you see. That's the thing, playing by taste and being, super careful, not going like super crazy, maybe for other projects, but for this one you want to see healthy skins. So I think like maybe 20%, it's okay, it's cool. 22, 23, that's the thing. I think it's great. So after this subtle touch, I love to change a bit the colors, by range. So I would play with these curves, like I want to take the skins towards the hue that I love. So I will test what's happening, because I want this more like standing out. So I will saturate the skins. I'm choosing here the tones. So you're going to see what happens, you're saturating only the skins, in this case it's easy because you have only these warm things on your image, because I don't care if even the hair is saturated too. It could be more specific, but I like it how it is, so it stands from the other things on the scene, you know. It feels like a bit desaturated image, but you have saturation, nice saturation on the skins, and that's what I wanted for this project, you know. So we'll do that. We're doing that with hue versus saturation curve, and basically what we're doing here is like telling the image that this range of hues are going to be more saturated or less, you know. You can choose. Again, look at your screen, forget for these things. I love to forget for a moment my technical information, my vector scopes, and I like to look at the screen because I want to do it by feeling, you know, and then judge if I'm in the correct place, you know. But I think it's great, and I always zoom because I want to see if we have some weird artifacts that they're not showing, you know. It's super cool. I like it. And yeah, that's the thing. And with the hues, I want to take the blues and to see, you know, creating points of control here. So you see what's happening with the sofa. That's what I want. I want to put the sofa in the same hue that her shirt, you know. That's the thing. I'm taking it, so you see I'm taking it away, taking it like the shirt, you know. That's the thing. I want to compress my color palette because that way it feels like you have taken, you know, conscious decisions, creative decisions. You are creating, you know, a mood, a look, and you remember from the PDF that we wanted like healthy skins, but earthy tones like blues, green from, you know, water, skies, nature, all these things, you know. So I think that's good how it is now. One point here is to see that you have clipping highlights here, and some technical people will tell you that everything that clips on the image has to be at 100%. Well, I don't think so, because I have been like watching and analyzing even Hollywood films, and sometimes they don't go to the 100 range, you know. You can leave space here if you feel that your image is going to become super bright and you don't want that mood, you know, because you are always playing with your viewers' eyes and attention. You don't want to fatigue their eyes, you know, so to say. So imagine that we go technical here, we add a color wheel and we take our gain to 100. But for me it's like more video-ish, you know, because it's already, you know, that we don't have a lot of dynamic range with the GH5. So for me, taking it to the 100% point is like telling, hey, I'm using a video camera. It's like super obvious. So I like to stay below because your eyes have more difficult to see the clipping. Your eyes don't go directly to the curtains, you know. So for me, I would delete this layer. As you see here, things that happened when touching everything is that our reds are low on the scale here because we raised the greens and the blues. So in the shadow part of the image we have less red, but in the middle tones we have super healthy skin tones in her face. So I think that was all for this commercial. It was super simple, great. So you copy paste and you see that you can play with the contrast here and make it similar to the other. to the other images, the other shots, because what you want in the end is consistency and continuity with every shot. So after this, you can always export your LUT here with Color Finale, but this was super specific LUT. We're including the LUT and the final result. Maybe in your screen you don't appreciate the exact final look because of the compression of this screen, but you will have the LUT to play with it. But now you know how it was created, more or less, because I'm approaching what I remember from that. But it's pretty similar, and I remember it was the approach for the commercial. So I hope that you had a clear insight of everything now, because we have talked about all the aspects except the edit, because the edit was super simple. It was like taking the best moments, the best actions, and making them flow with the music. So it was super simple edit. And I think everything's in the tutorial. So that was the way I approached this project from the beginning to the end. I hope it's been helpful for you, and I hope you have liked the tutorial and it was worth it. If you have any question, don't hesitate to write to us, and we will be glad to answer. So see you soon, and stay tuned for new tutorials. Bye, and thanks so much.